Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the WCS Coaches Preview Show. I'm your co-host, Jeremy Qualls, and with me as always is Tate Mathews. We are honored to have Coach Brian Coleman, head coach of the Summit Spartans. Old Sparty. It's a Sparty party. We've had that numerous times this year for the Columbia Central game. Coach, how are you today?
Good.
Good. Well, right now you're sitting at 3-6, 2-4 in the region. Prior to this year, there's only been 4 wins in Summit history. I'm predicting, as well as Tate predicted,
Oh, boy.
you're going to match that this year in 1 year alone. You're going to have your 4th win. But I'm going to get on you just a little bit. Let's talk about some past games. Could it have been more than 4? Now, I like to mess with you. We've known each other a long time. Let's really talk about it's been an uphill battle to get your kids to realize this is not the old Summit High School. It's time to win. And you've done some great things. One thing that we talked about off the air that you had not done this year, you've broken several records. First ever home win against Northwest. First ever home win in Summit history. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about that. What was the feeling like for the kids? What was the feeling? I know that was for you to get that monkey off the back and to roll on. What was the feeling like? What did it do for the school?
Yeah, it was exciting. I mean, just to see the guys' faces. They've worked so hard and they've put so much into it to finally – validate the hard work, I guess, to say, I've worked so hard for this, and to see their faces, how excited they were, and the student body, and the crowd. It was fun to see them rush the field. It was a lot of fun.
I know you well enough to know you're sitting there thinking it's just a win, come on. But for the kids' sake, you have to step aside of your competitiveness and say, what an honor for the kids to finally get that done. And just for the record, 6 months prior to that win, I think if we can find the tapes, I predicted that win.
That's what this is really about.
I predicted that win against Northwest. But, for the school culture, for Miss Lamb, for Chad Kirby, for yourself, your coaching staff, for the kids, the parents, it is a big deal. But after it's over, I know you're like, okay, we got it out of the way. Let's make the playoffs. That's what we're looking to do. Mm-hmm. Like you said, you beat Northwest 36-21, and then you got your first region win against Laverne, whom – it's a very good team sitting at 6-3, 4-2 right now. They're going to finish in those top 4 slots, looking at possibly 2nd or 3rd place. Beat them 22-14. Tell us about that win against a region opponent such as Laverne. Great running backs. I mean, that's a big win. That's the biggest win in Summit history.
You're talking about a 4-star athlete in Gray who's a wide receiver, and they gave him the ball sometimes. They handed the ball to him sometimes also. Very big team, physical team. Very good athletes on homecoming night, with all the distractions that go along with homecoming. So very proud of the guys for, concentrating on the football game. That was the most important thing for us, is to win that football game, and they did. Put away all the distractions and things like that. A sloppy night, so we were unconditional with the weather and stuff like that. So, it was a great win for the program.
The thing I think about it is there's a game or two here that maybe we could have won. But let's be honest now. That game you shouldn't have won. If you look at talent and what they've got, that team is as talented as anybody, and I think so. I think that was a huge win. Maybe we let one slip away, but we also stole one that we shouldn't have gotten. And the thing I think that's most important about it is, you got the first home win against Clarksville Northwest, and then you had a really tough game against Shelbyville, Lebanon, and Independence. Yeah. It would have been easy to fold tent right there. Yes, sir. I think that's a credit to your kids, but and I know you're a no ego guy, but it's a credit to you and your staff too. You could have lost them, you didn't. Right. That was a huge win, and I'm still predicting Laverne to make a run in these playoffs. They're good. I thought that was the most impressive thing, is how y'all kept it together.
Yeah, and we did the things that we think it takes to win, like control the football. If they score, then make them earn it, meaning don't give up big plays, a big 80-yard run or anything like that. Make them methodically work down the field, and sometimes they make mistakes, and a couple times they did. They snapped the ball to the quarterback's head or things like that. And we methodically moved the ball down the field and didn't give up, any penalties or lost yardage plays. So we stuck to our game plan and executed it good.
I found it interesting, too. You made a good point. If we look at some of these games early on, you play Spring Hill. I know it doesn't have any region implications or playoff implications, but you play Spring Hill in Week 10. You play possibly a Lebanon or somebody other than that later in the year. Yeah. Those are some more wins. Oh, yeah. Definitely the Spring Hill game, for sure. But, you overcame you got beat by Spring Hill early, 27-15. You controlled the ball a lot of that game, gave it up late. and then came back and got the win against Northwest. You always bounce back. The one thing that you didn't have this year that you needed was that back-to-back win. You get that back-to-back win, we're looking at such a huge game tonight.
You're right.
But it's no shortage of what you've done this year and what the program looks like. The product you're putting on the field is night and day from what it was last year. The kids are buying in. The Summit squad has bought in fully. You've got a great school community, one of the best.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, it's going to be a fantastic thing. And, you know, let's talk about tonight's game. Columbia coming in very confident that you're going to win this game. I know that you, as a coach, hate to talk about that, but let's talk about a little bit about it, Columbia. What do we expect to see from Columbia?
They're a very athletic team. You know, they're about 3 running backs deep. Starters, last name's Pillow, number 21. He's a very, very fast kid. 2 wide receivers that they can throw it out to. You know, they can throw it deep or throw a little hitch route to them. Quarterback, the last name is Delk. He's a good athlete too. He'll hurt you throwing it and running it. So, you know, they got a couple 6'5" guys on the line too. So, very athletic team. Again, winning the eye test, they'll beat us in the eye test. We'll lose that battle every time. But you know, I know our kids will fight and be in it, you know, to the end, and then we'll see what happens towards the end of the game.
And they do. We talked about the Laverne game. I don't think they're as talented, but they look a lot like them. So, and that was another good thing that came out of that Laverne game. You can put that tape on, and it sounds like a broken record, but it is. It really is. That's how you all are going to have to win games. And so, once again tonight, one more time, make them line up, bend but don't break.
Right.
If they score on a 13-play game, 13-play drive on us, then they scored on a 13-play drive on us. Control the ball, don't turn it over, and Ty Carter's back and healthy, and maybe he can pop one, and we're going to have to get up, line up, shorten the game, and move the ball in the running game, maybe hit him on a pass or two.
And I think that's another big point is we're pretty healthy coming into the game. You know, week 10 coming in, we've only had one guy that's been, you know, really hit with a bad injury, and that was Dylan Bates. But other than that, we're full strength, and I think that's a testament to Coach Melton and I think the weight room. You know, we're still working hard 2 days a week in the weight room. You know, we're still getting maxes. We're working hard in the weight room, and that's our conditioning. And I think the strength helps, you know, as far as injuries and things like that go. So, you know, being full strength at week 10, you got to give Coach Melton and the kids a lot of credit for that.
And that, I mean, that just didn't happen overnight, because you go back preseason. I remember coming out there and seeing you guys preseason early on in the summer, or late in the summer rather, coming into school. And early in the morning, you guys out there getting after it, putting in the time, putting in the effort. Your numbers are up. Your kids are buying in, like I said, to the program. This thing is just about to take off. I'm telling you, Summit Spartans, you know, I'm a sympathizer, as much as you'd like to argue with me on it. Old Sparty. I love to see you guys go. I'm telling you, it's just before taking off. I mean, you get this win tonight. It puts you at 4 wins. You're totaling out what they have done 4 years before this. And to think of where you've grown. Now, the kids, how many kids are we going to be graduating this year?
Graduate 5 seniors.
5 seniors going to be returning the bulk of.
Well, we're at 35 freshmen, so we're replacing 5 seniors with 35 freshmen, which are going to be incoming sophomores.
And speaking of freshmen, how have our freshman team?
They were undefeated this year, very good. You know, beating quality teams like Independence, Ravenwood, Franklin. Early in the year, we scrimmaged Warren County and Riverdale. They beat both of them. Page, Stewart's Creek, and Laverne. So, you know, good wins over some quality football teams. So, you know, and they worked hard. And that was a thing when we started the season as a coaching staff. We decided we were going to put some time in the freshmen because that's our future. So what we did was we split the staff, offensive and defensive staff. First half of practice, offensive guys are with the varsity guys, and then we flip-flop. Then the offensive guys have the freshmen. So if I'm a quarterbacks coach, I'm coaching quarterbacks the whole time. First half of practice is freshmen. Second half of practice is varsity. So those freshmen are getting, you know, varsity coaches and our system and our verbiage and everything like that. So I think that helped a lot. I really do think that helped a lot, and we'll keep doing that because it's our future. You know, it's the program. It's the whole program as a whole.
I think you're right, and then you got a good feel for who can do what. You don't have to figure it out next year when they get to you. And I think, man, that's another sign of the direction the program's going in. You got 5 seniors right now. Well, that was before you got here, and you don't know But when you don't have a big freshman class carrying over, it doesn't catch up to you until years 2 or 3 down the road. And so that goes to show. You got 5 seniors, you're replacing them with 35 freshmen. That goes to show the interest, and the kids are buying in and building it up. And I don't care where you are. If you're playing 5A or 6A football nowadays, you better have numbers, or it's really tough.
That's right. That's right. I mean, right now we're dressing probably 38 varsity guys right now. So that's not very many. A lot of guys are playing both ways, but that's just the way it has to be done. And you got to be in shape. You know, weight room and conditioning and stuff like that play a key role.
And you talk about the type of offense you run is predominantly you coming off cuts. It's not there's not a whole lot of downhill running. I mean, you're coming off a cut and inside, whatever the case may be, puts a lot of pressure on your joints, on your knees, and whatnot. And you've got to be that strength has to be there. And that's where you're talking about Coach Melton coming in to coming into the weight program and really conditioning your guys to do so. And you've got guys playing both ways. Now think about that, the wear and tear. However, those days are about to come to an end. I mean, if we look at the Big Six right now, you obviously have the smallest team number-wise of the Big Six. However, you're graduating 5 and gaining 35, where everybody else would probably, they're going to be losing upwards to 20 to 30 kids, and you're going to be gaining the largest amount, whom also remain undefeated. So let's talk a little bit about your freshman staff that you had. Talk about, did everybody on the coaching staff, I get this right, when you went into your freshman games, did everybody participate in those games, or did you just have a couple guys for the freshmen outside of practice that took care of the games?
We had a couple guys that would go early with the freshmen to ride the bus with them, and we would stay back with the varsity, but we'd get there at game time. Okay. Everybody on the staff would get there at game time. Coach Pope would call the defense. Coach Burkett would call the offense. So we're still developing our coaches, our younger coaches, a little bit, and they're still calling plays and stuff like that, and still getting some experience as far as handling the freshmen and pregame and things like that. But then the varsity coaches will get there and help out and coach them up and encourage them a lot. So it was good.
And it has to be encouraging to those kids too to see that you guys are putting in interest. You may not see that at the other schools. We have bigger numbers, bigger staffs, whatever the case may be. We split up, but you're there. You're there, and you're just as invested in those kids as you are your varsity squad. They know that, and they're eager and willing to impress and do anything and everything to be a part. So Sparty Party next year is going to be big time. I look forward to seeing that. But let's go back to this year a little bit. We talked about the Laverne game. In between the Laverne game and the Lincoln County game was the Franklin County game. That's the game that I know that we talked about off there. You look back, and it's probably the most disappointing. But you had the weather situation that night, if I'm not mistaken, and that played a little bit of role. Let's talk about that game. You did get beat 21-10, and then to set up the Lincoln County game. But the Franklin County game probably pretty much is the one that eliminated you from the playoff contention.
Yeah, and not to make excuses, but it was sloppy game. It was lightning when we got there. We had 10 minutes to warm up. We started the game probably 7:15, 7:30, so we were behind. Sloppy field because they had played a home game before that against Columbia, and they tore the field up, and a lot of rain. So, whatever. A lot of excuses. We could have won that football game, and that's good for our program to be in that situation to say we could have, should have won that football game. Right. So, another development of the program, you're going to have to take your licks.
Yeah, it was a game that you could have won. I mean, you were in it. It came down to the end, and you want to talk about. I give Coach Smith credit, man. You want to talk about discipline. How many passes did he throw in that game?
Not one.
Not one.
Not one pass. Not one pass.
That's hard to do. I mean, when you're the guy calling the play, and it did. He put it all on that. They were able to, a few things went wrong later on in the game, with the weather being it was. That could have backfired on him. It didn't. But like you said, those were games before where you weren't even in them. Now you're in them. Had a chance to win them.
We're 10-7. It's 10-7 ball game with 4 minutes to go.
That's right.
So we're in it, battling, fighting, clawing, like our kids always do. So it was rough, but at least the program's in that conversation of we should have, could have won that game.
So you and your coaching staffs going into that game, you knew the implications. Yeah. Now, so two different types of philosophies. One route could be we're going to go in and talk about it. One route we're not going to go talk about it at all. Was that even mentioned before the game? Do the kids have any idea? Because this is part of that growing pain that you want to fast forward past, but you have to go through. Do we go in and say, guys, you have to understand the importance of every game that we have, including this one, which is a winnable ball game, to get ourselves in position for playoffs?
We made the decision to not put so much unneeded pressure on them. We just decided, all right, we're going to take it one game at a time, because every game is important to us with such a young program. You know, we're trying to break records. You know, 4-win season, you're breaking records, so we're just trying to one game at a time. You know, it's Franklin County. We're concentrating on Franklin County because we're way too young to be looking forward or ahead of in anything. But and these kids, you know, social media, they knew the implications. They knew. I didn't have to tell them, or any of the coaches didn't have to tell them. They knew, but we didn't harp on it. So, you know, trying to take it one game at a time. And this week against Columbia, still, you know, no playoff implication, but still big for the program. You had to have a 4-win season, which is not great for a lot of programs, but for us, it's a big deal. So, you know, and to place in the region, we may be fifth or 6th place in the region, and that's something to hang your hats on, I guess, in a region like that.
Well, and Columbia is a program that just, 4 years ago was in the 5A state championship game. Maybe 6 years ago won one, and they're a quality football program. You border them with the counties. Right. They're very close. I mean, you never know. A family looking to move in here, and I mean, it's a matter of, you know, this side of the line, that side of the line. So, yeah, a lot to play for. And the thing that's neat is that after the Franklin County game, once again, could have folded your tent, come back. Lincoln County, who's sitting solidly in second place, I think their only loss was to Independence.
6-1, I believe, at the time.
6-1, and you know, they don't lose much at home down in the pit.
And I'm pretty sure that he picked Lincoln County, and I know for a fact. For a fact,
my boy Q,
that I came through for you and picked Sparty Party at the pit, biggest shock of the year. Now
he pat yourself on the back.
It hurt me to do it.
I know, I'm sure it does.
I got to make him the baby face every once in a while.
Right. So Lincoln County, you know, that would be your second biggest win, because I still think, even though at that time that was a big win, I think Laverne is obviously, as the years played out, is the better football team. So that's probably the biggest win for the program. But then the follow up with Lincoln, see, like you said, he could have folded up tents, could have been through. This is a proof that this is not the same Summit, because you could have easily had lost your game against Laverne. You lose that game at Laverne and just finish the season out and not win another game and go, you know, one for the world. However, they fight back. They win a close game, 13-10 on the road. Biggest road win for you. Biggest win. I mean, what was the mindset there after that win? I mean, the kids right there had to have been I could not be more proud of the guys on that win. Just because, I mean, so many things. All right, we're down 7-0 at halftime. We go into halftime and have a little speech, you know, because they were being more physical than we were in the first half, especially our offensive line. So we let the guys know, now you can, you know, because young guys, you got a bunch of sophomores on the offensive line. Guys, you can be just as physical as these guys are. So get a score in the third quarter. Defense played a heck of a game. I mean, Coach Melton had a great plan. The defense staff had a great plan. We hold them to 7 points in regulation. So, I mean, defense fought their tails off, and we clawed and got a touchdown. So, end of regulation is 7-7. Overtime. You know, there's so many new things. You're at the pit. You know, you're playing a team with one loss, and these young guys, you know, the eyes are huge. We're going into overtime. Just again, keep them calm. You know, just play one play at a time. So, Lincoln County got the ball first, kicked a field goal, and then we got the ball and threw the ball on the first play. Got down the 1 yard line, and then Zakreski scored one quarterback sneak in. So very proud of the guys. So much adversity in that game. And like you said, lost a heartbreaker to Franklin County the week before, could have tanked it. Just super proud of the guys.
And not only that, you were a little banged up in that one. You were missing some guys that normally you rely on. So, you know, a lot of positives out of that.
And we were, like you said, we were missing Ty. Our leading rusher was out. So Tyler Palmer, Clayton Kennedy, you know, those guys stepped up and did a great job, did an excellent job. Clayton always plays on defense. He's our starting safety. Hadn't got much playing time on offense, but, you know, he played hard, ran the football very, very hard, and he helped us out a lot.
Now, Coach Thomas, you were already
I was gone.
You not participating in his coaching staff when he was at Marshall County. You were already gone.
No,
so
I was already gone.
I didn't know how the handshake went when he came in. So
here's what I want to know, because you can tell he's in shape.
Right.
And Don is a big weightlifter. Who can bench press more, you or Don?
He's got me. He's got me.
We do smaller weight, lots of reps to get the cut.
You're definitely in better shape.
Anyway, all right, let's talk real quick.
He's trying to make up for the pick.
Yeah, man.
Let's talk about your player spotlight right now. You keep mentioning Z. You talk about Ty Carter. Let's get some stats on the year. Who is really keen? Let's talk about your usual suspects, if you will, but then let's talk about those that have come from out of nowhere that have really surprised you. You look forward to them returning next year, or even possibly being a senior.
I guess is our offensive line, because we're sophomore, senior, junior, sophomore across the line. So we get these guys back. Ben Griggs is our senior. He's our only senior starter. He's our center. So we hate to lose him being at center. You got Cody Davis at a tackle. You got Trevor Keel at a guard. The right guard, you got Rod Green, and right tackle, you got Mason Leatherwood. So these are young guys that have had to mature, being on the front line, and the most physical part of any football team is on that front line. So,
well, we're talking about that, particularly with your offense. How important is the offensive line? Now, that everybody says that's a stupid question because everybody's offensive line is important, but particularly with the wing T offense, there's a little bit of different nuances that you have to put in as the offensive line. So, year 2. Those guys, what's year 3 going to be like with those guys?
Right, same guys. Weight room, 1 more year old and 1 more year maturity, 1 more year in the weight room. So understand the scheme. So it's very exciting, to have these guys back, and they've worked. I mean, they've worked hard too in the weight room. And these are, Cody our tackle, and Mason Leatherwood, our other tackle, are 2 big boys being sophomores, and still got the little baby fat on them, little baby face, and they had to become men, this year. So very excited to have them back.
Yeah, when we lose sight of that sometimes too. We're talking about a 15-year-old, maybe they're 16. Playing offensive line against seniors at Lincoln County and Stewart's Creek and dang Laverne. That's tough, man. That's hard. I can remember as a freshman being in the playoffs, hoping we lose because I didn't want to stand out there in the cold again. That was awful. But the guy, he gets a lot of credit, but I love multiple sport guys, and we live in a world and a part of the country that likes specialization, and I love what Ty's done. He's come out, he's a sophomore playing basketball. Yep. I can't wait to see what happens in basketball season. I just cannot believe that he's not better from this going into basketball, and those are the kind of things I love to see, because in this county, you're going to have to share some athletes if you're going to be good. No doubt. And I think that was a huge step towards that. I love that.
Absolutely. You got to have those multi-sports athletes. It's the difference between one-topping pizza and multi-topping pizza. But, and Ty Carter. But at Summit, let's talk about Summit. It's such a close-knit community, okay? We don't have 2,100 students like Ravenwood. We don't have the 1,800, 1,900 of Brentwood Centennial. So you've got to share that. And even those guys have to share athletes. Right. But at Summit, I don't even know what the total is. What do you know the total student population? It's 1,500, less than 1,500. So you've got those athletes there that you have to share. I know with Kirby being the athletic director and all the other coaches, Josh and Kerry being there and Chris Ladd and all those guys, that y'all are close as a group.
Right.
So you don't mind that aspect, and you want to work together, and you cheer for each other, and you see those things. So I mean, that plays an important role. That Ty comes out. You've had a successful year. Mm-hmm. You get to that 4th win. Even if you don't get the 4th win, you've had a successful year for Summit football, and that's important for that to lay that foundation for the sports year to go on. Your Summit squad is going to be there. They've been great all year. You're going into basketball. Your basketball team is going to be ranked right now preseason favorite 1-2 going in with Independence as being one of the better teams. And you, believe it or not, Coach Coleman, have contributed to that success of basketball and further in the other sports.
Yeah, and the toughness Ty is going to get out of football is going to really help him in basketball as far as boxing out and getting rebounds and things like that, and the toughness and the quickness that he has to show on the football field also. And you said it earlier, I think a big important thing is for all the coaches in a school to get along and have a common goal. I mean, if you have a common goal to be successful in the school, every sport, that's great. I think that helps out so much. You get along. Your programs, Coach Kirby a couple months ago he had a meeting with all the coaches. We're trying to put in the same, weight room schedule, not schedule, but same ideas in the weight room as far as squat, power cleans, as every athlete will have that.
Absolutely.
So if you go from football to basketball, you're still doing the same lifts. You're still, which I think, again, and I talk a lot about the weight room, but I still think it's important, even in basketball, even in baseball. You look at these guys now, basketball players aren't little dudes. I mean, LeBron James' shoulders are huge, and you know he don't get that from not lifting weights.
He's not bad.
And then he's not bad. Then you get to these baseball players, and they're huge too. So I mean,
Catcher last night in the World Series, 6'4", 240.
I mean, so it's important, you know. And if it's important to everybody, then it'll be important to the kids. So then it helps the whole school.
Well, we got a few minutes left. Let's ask. This is, I think, a very important question. What, not to dismiss what we got going on. You got a game tonight. Obviously, you want to finish out the year on a high note. What are the goals or the number one goal for next year?
Oh boy, man, put you on the spot.
Because I'm going to make predictions when you're finished.
I bet
So
you will.
you go ahead and say what you're going to say.
I think every year you've got to get better. You know, we go from a 0-10 year, and this year, you know, 3 to possibly 4 wins. I think you've got to keep progressing. And if you keep progressing, the kids are, you know, playing time, things like that aren't very the most important thing. I guess the important thing for these guys is to become better men, I guess, later. And, you know, and that's, you know, winning is great, but as they're getting better, they're excited, they're having fun, and learning things as grown men to help them out later. I mean, that's our ultimate goal. As coaches, as a coach staff, you know, you tell the kids as a football goal to get better every year, to build on 4 wins, 3 wins, to get better the next year. I think, you know, I'm not going to put a number on anything, but, you know, to get a win tonight, to go into the off season on a high note, I think is very important.
Could it be simply not necessarily a number, but could is the playoffs, because I'm fixing to put a number on you, is the playoffs actually, would that be something you'll talk about in the offseason? Is that a number one goal? We're going to make playoffs next year, regardless of how many wins it takes to get there.
I think it should be, because it was, we were.
This is great.
We were.
For those that don't know, he's extremely uncomfortable right now, but we're going to go ahead.
If the playoffs are in the conversation this year, then it should be in the conversation next year, because that means you're getting better. I mean,
right.
Who would have thought at the beginning of the season that the word playoffs and Summit football, other than us, the guys in the football team, and maybe even our community and faculty and people like that, thought we'd be relevant in October? Who thought, you know, Summit High School is playing for the playoffs? So these guys have progressed, they've gotten better, so that's all we can ask for next year. So playoffs should be in our, you know, in our vocabulary for next year.
1 minute left. Final thoughts. What are your predictions for Summit football Tate next year?
Oh, playoffs, no doubt. I think they finish same schedule, right?
Same schedule, just
Minimum of 6-4.
Oh, 6-4. I said 500.
Look,
but I'm putting playoffs, automatic playoffs in. We got these kids growing up, they're getting better. Tate, I want to say thank you for being here, because he's felt so comfortable in front of the most I've ever seen him open up about this. But Coach Coleman, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming. We wish the best of luck tonight. You're going to get that 4th win tonight, and we look forward to seeing what Sparty Party has for next year. Old Sparty, as always. Thank you for joining this week's WCS Coaches Preview Show. We'll see you next time.
Books by S.R. Lee. Lined up again and again, stacked, straightened, stored, they break rank, twist a bit, slide an inch, swing round, turn their backs, push away, circle, wander to the porch, hide in a corner. How they resist the neat rows humans associate with their work, assume to be their duty. Given a chance, they may be as chaotic as their readers.